Circulatory System Part 2 ICC Class 10 Second Semester Topics and Revision. Composition of blood. Mainly there are two constituents present in blood. First one is plasma, the other one is cellular elements. Plasma is a fluid part of blood. It's also a liquid, we can say that is a liquid content of blood. Almost 55 to 60% of blood contain plasma. The other one is cellular elements. There are three main types of cellular elements are there. RBC, that means red blood cells, WBC, white blood cells, and platelets. Almost 40 to 45% of blood contain cellular elements. First, we can discuss about plasma. Plasma is in light yellow in color. It is an alkaline liquid. You can see in this picture that plasma. What is the meaning of alkaline liquid? That means pH is above 7. It consists of water 90 to 92%, proteins 7 to 8%, inorganic salts 1%. Then there are mainly two types of inorganic salts present in plasma, that is sodium chloride and sodium bicarbonate. Then other substances in traces like glucose, amino acids, fibrinogen, hormones, urea, etc. Then fibrinogen is a protein that present in plasma. The questions will come in examination. It's a very important question. Name the protein present in plasma, that is fibrinogen. Another question, that is name two inorganic salts present in plasma, that is sodium chloride and sodium bicarbonate. The next term, that is serum. It is related to plasma. How it is related? The plasma from which protein fibrinogen has been removed, that we call it as serum. You can see that in picture. Serum means fluid part of blood, that is plasma. In that, which protein is present? Protein fibrinogen is present. This protein fibrinogen is removed from the plasma, then that we call it as serum. The next is cellular elements. There are three main types of cellular elements present in blood. They are red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Red blood cells, the technical term is erythrocytes. White blood cells, the technical term is leukocytes. Platelets, it is thrombocytes. Then you can see that in this picture, this is red blood cells, then this is white blood cells, the small cells, that is platelets. Red blood cells. The technical term of red blood cells is erythrocytes. Is RBC. What is RBC? The full form of RBC is red blood cells. We can go through the function. What is the function of RBC? It carries oxygen. The main function is carrying oxygen. Then what is the shape of RBC? It is biconcave disc-like structures. You can see that in this picture. Is flat in the center and thick and rounded at the periphery. Then what is the size of RBC? 7 micron in diameter. Then this is very small in size, that's why it will travel through very fine capillaries. What is capillaries? Capillaries is a type of blood vessel. It is very thin and narrow. Through that narrow capillaries, these RBCs will travel. Yes. Then you have to know the concavities. The concavities on either side. You can see that in this picture. The two sides concavities are there. These concavities provide large surface area. Why these RBCs have large surface area? It will carry oxygen. That's why it has to carry oxygen. That's why that has large surface area. That is helping to carry more oxygen, more number of oxygen. Then in adult human male, 5 million RBCs per cubic millimeter of blood. Adult female has 4.5 million RBCs per cubic millimeter of blood. Hemoglobin. What is hemoglobin? Hemoglobin is a red pigment present in RBC. You can see is hemoglobin is present inside the RBC. Because of this hemoglobin, RBC is in red in color. It also gives, hemoglobin also gives red color to the blood. The next one is it is also known as respiratory pigment. Why it is called it as respiratory pigment? Because it carries oxygen and carbon dioxide. That's why that is called it as respiratory pigment. Where is the location of hemoglobin? It is present in the colorless spongy stroma of RBC. You can see in this diagram it is present in the colorless spongy stroma of RBC. Yes, this because of this hemoglobin, RBC is red in color. This hemoglobin has two main parts, iron containing part and protein containing part. Iron containing part we call it as hemin and protein containing part we call it as globin. The other feature of hemoglobin that has the capacity to combine with oxygen and carbon dioxide. Then when hemoglobin combine with oxygen and form an unstable compound called oxyhemoglobin. In carbon dioxide combine with hemoglobin and form an unstable compound that we call it as carbaminohemoglobin. Circulatory system part 1 you already studied these 2 points, right? Yes. Then the another point you have to remember, it also has the affinity towards carbon monoxide. Then why the carbon monoxide is very dangerous or it causes death? Because carbon monoxide has the affinity, a strong affinity towards hemoglobin. That's why once it combines with hemoglobin, then it will not release. It forms a stable compound. That stable compound we call it as carboxyhemoglobin. Then the stable compound, that means carbon monoxide combined with hemoglobin and form a stable compound that we call it as carboxyhemoglobin. It's very, very important. Then carbon monoxide poisoning may cause death. This also is very important point you have to remember. This will come in examination. Is give reason why carbon monoxide may cause death. Carbon monoxide poisoning may cause death. And what is the reason? It cuts down the capacity of the blood of transporting oxygen. What is the reason? It cuts down. Very important. You have to remember this term, cuts down. Cuts down the capacity of what? Capacity of the blood of transporting oxygen. Of what? Of transporting oxygen. Then once it combine, this hemoglobin combine with carbon monoxide, it will not release. Yes, that's why this oxygen can't carry in that hemoglobin. That's why we can say this, because of carbon monoxide poisoning, may cause death. Life and death of RBC. RBCs are produced in the marrow of long bones, especially in the ribs, ileum and hip bones. Here you can see this is a long bone. This area is bone marrow. Bone marrow produces what? It produces RBCs. Then the other bone, that is hip bones. Hip bones also produces, the bone marrow hip bones also produces RBCs. Ribs also, bone marrow of ribs also produces RBCs. Then where it will produce, RBCs are produced in the marrow of long bones, especially in the ribs, ileum and hip bones. The next point, in the embryo, RBCs are produced in liver and spleen. You can see in the embryonic stage where it will produce, RBCs are produced in the liver and spleen. The mature red blood cells have no nuclei. Why it is called it as mature red blood cells have no nuclei? Why there is no nuclei? Because of the absence of nuclei, RBCs can carry more number of oxygen. The average life of RBC is about 120 days. How many days are there? The life of RBC, average life of RBC is about 120 days. Very important, 120 days. The old and weak red blood cells are destroyed in the spleen, liver and bone marrow. Yes, these red blood cells are destroyed in the spleen, liver and bone marrow, but it will synthesize in the marrow of long bones, ribs, ileum and hip bones. The iron part is retained in the liver. The rest is excreted as a bile pigment. The bile pigment we call it as bilirubin. Then all of you know that in hemoglobin there is an iron part, hemin. This iron part will retained in the liver while the destruction of RBC. The rest will be excreted as bile pigment. In an adult, 20 million RBCs are destroyed every minute. Yes, 20 million RBCs are destroyed every minute. It means 20 million means 2 crores. More about the number of RBCs. Newborn infant has a larger number of RBCs, 6 to 7 million per cubic millimeter. RBC count lower 5% during sleep. At the time of sleep, the count of RBC lower 5%. Then RBC count is higher during physical activity, pregnancy and emotional upsets. Then the number of RBCs will be increased when there is physical activity. If you are doing exercise or you have any emotional imbalance or upsets, then the number of RBCs will increase. You know that if you are getting anger, your face becomes red. Then the more number of RBCs will produce at the time of emotional upsets, physical activity and during pregnancy. The people living in height increases their RBCs. All of you know that in height there is less amount of scarcity of oxygen, less amount of oxygen. That's why then you can see here the people living in height, that because of that the number of RBCs will increase. Then the other two terms, that is polycythemia and erythropenia. These are the two terms. This is very important. Abnormally increased number of RBCs. If number of RBCs are abnormally increased, then that we call it as polycythemia. This is a technical term. You have to remember this. Polycythemia. Abnormally decreased number of RBC, that we call it as erythropenia. For erythropenia, how you will remember this? Poly means more. Then increased number, polycythemia. Then decreased number, erythropenia. Deficient but more efficient RBC. Why RBC is called deficient? Deficient means yes, absence of something. Yes, all of you know that. Yes, nucleus, mitochondria, endoplasmic reticulum. These are cell organelles. These cell organelles are present in all the cells. Almost all the cells, these cell organelles are present. But in RBC, these cell organelles are absent. Why these cell organelles are absent in RBC? That we can discuss. Because of the absence of these cell organelles, we can say RBCs are deficient. Why it is more efficient? Why we call it as RBCs are more efficient? The same reason, because of the absence of these cell organelles. Why it is efficient if it is absent? These organelles are absent. Why? How it is efficient, more efficient? If there is no nucleus, that means in RBC there is no nucleus, it will increase more surface area to carry oxygen. You can see that in this picture. Yes, it will increase the surface area to carry more number of oxygen molecule. Here there is no nucleus, because of that more number of oxygen molecule can carry. RBCs can carry more number of oxygen molecule. No mitochondria. Mitochondria is also a cell organelle. This cell organelle is absent in RBC. Right? So, RBCs cannot use oxygen for cellular respiration. Because of the absence of mitochondria, RBCs will not use oxygen. It only carry oxygen. It will carry oxygen. It will not use oxygen for cellular respiration. If there is mitochondria, yes, this mitochondria will use oxygen for cellular respiration. But RBCs have no mitochondria. Then, next one, no endoplasmic reticulum. Why there is no endoplasmic reticulum? How it is efficient? If there is no endoplasmic reticulum, it will increase flexibility of RBC. Because of the absence of endoplasmic reticulum, RBCs are more flexible. For what? Yes, what is the use of that? For their movement through narrow capillaries. That's why RBCs can move through the narrow capillaries. Revision. Exam-based questions and answers. Name the following. Respiratory pigment. Yes, what is name the respiratory pigment? Of course, that is hemoglobin. Shape of RBC. Disc-like, biconcave disc-like shape. The protein present in plasma, fibrinogen. The average life of RBC is 120 days. Name two inorganic salts present in blood. Sodium chloride and sodium bicarbonate. The place where the synthesis of RBCs takes place is where it is happening in the bone marrow of long bone, ribs, then ileum, or hip bonds. The compound produced when carbon monoxide combined with hemoglobin, that is carboxyhemoglobin. Don't confuse with carbaminohemoglobin and oxyhemoglobin. These are unstable compound. But carbon monoxide combined with hemoglobin to produce carboxyhemoglobin. The spelling also you have to remember. It's very important. Give reason. Carbon monoxide poisoning causes death. What is the reason of that? It cuts down the capacity of blood to carry oxygen. The next one, mammalian RBCs have no nucleus, no endoplasmic reticulum, and no mitochondria. Why it's so? There is no nucleus, so it can carry, RBCs can carry more number of oxygen. No endoplasmic reticulum. So it is very flexible. RBCs are very flexible to pass through capillaries. Then RBCs have no mitochondria. Because of that, no mitochondria, this oxygen will not be used up by cellular respiration. Mammalian RBC, the other one, the mammalian RBC is deficient but more efficient. In this question, you have to write two terms, deficient and efficient. Why it is deficient? Why it is efficient? Deficient because there is no nucleus, no mitochondria, and no endoplasmic reticulum. Then why it is more efficient? It is efficient because of the absence of nucleus. It will carry more oxygen. Because of the absence of endoplasmic reticulum, RBCs will is more flexible. RBCs are more flexible and it can travel through very fine capillaries. Then there is no mitochondria. That's why, what is the reason? Is that oxygen will not used up by cellular respiration. If there is mitochondria, that oxygen will used up by cellular respiration, but in RBCs there is no mitochondria. That's why yes, it will not used up by cellular respiration. Define the following. First one, serum. What is serum? The plasma from which protein fibrinogen has been removed is called serum. The next one is plasma. What is plasma? Plasma is a liquid part of blood or fluid part of blood. Fluid content present in blood. Then next one, erythropenia. Erythropenia means, what is the definition? Yes, abnormal decrease in RBC is called erythropenia. Then next one, polycythemia, that is abnormal increase in RBC. Thank you, children. Have a good day. The next video will upload soon. That is circulatory system part 3.